It's imperative that teachers set the tone in their classroom from the very beginning of the school year. This week on Legendary Educator, Dr. Andrew Shipe returns to discuss his methods and techniques of how he sets the tone and creates his classroom culture. Hello, teachers from around the world, and welcome to the Legendary Educator podcast, the podcast for teachers discussing everything to do with education and being a teacher. I'm your host, Mr. Ramez, a former teacher and certified instructional coach, and passionate about the classroom and about learning. Before we begin, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future episodes as they drop. And head on over to legendaryeducator.com to check out past episodes and YouTube videos. All right, let's begin. Class is in session. Thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Being a teacher is tough. Sure, it's one of the most rewarding jobs you could possibly have, but more often than not, you're overworked, underpaid, not to mention the stress and pressure coming at you from every direction, from keeping your students on track, satisfying the administration with your performance, and of course, parents telling you that you need to pay more attention to their kid, because you don't have 20 other kids in your class. Sometimes you just need to turn it all off and talk to someone, don't you? Well, let me introduce you to BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Use the link betterhelp.com/legendaryeducator to get 10% off your first month of therapy. That's betterhelp.com/legendaryeducator. Check out BetterHelp today. You deserve it. How's it going, Dr. Shipe? Always good to see you.
Oh, it's always good to see you too, Mr. Ramez.
And so we're not going to go, usually I go through the introduction and the origin story and all that, which I'm not going to do today because Dr. Shipe, you were my second person I interviewed on the podcast back in episode 3. And FYI, episode 3 is one of the top 3 most listened to episodes of all time until now. So,
oh boy, yeah.
So apparently it was a good one.
I only clicked on it 3 or 4 times. So
how large is your family? Maybe let's start counting. And I actually listened to it again yesterday to follow up and to remember what we talked about. And it was a good interview. It was a lot of just, to the point. This is what you're supposed to do in your class. This is what you're supposed to do with your students. This is what you're supposed to do. Teachers can actually take this episode and make, a game plan and just take it into the class. So it was a quality episode. And for the listeners, if you have not yet, heard episode 3, please go check it out because it is loaded with just to-dos.
Yeah. Thanks for the feedback. I'm glad people find it useful. It makes me very happy to get your good feedback.
Yeah.
Which you've already given me. So what you said isn't new to me. Thank you for your ongoing positive feedback.
Of course. You're my favorite human being. So And before we do get into the topic of today's episode, I want to ask you about one thing. Last year you received a Teacher of the Year award.
That's
I want to know about the award. What is this award for? And how did you get it? Besides being awesome.
Yeah, awesome does not appear anywhere on the certificate.
Oh, it's not a criteria.
No,
okay.
Maybe it's on the rubric that I didn't see. So I was fortunately nominated first of all in my local region as District Journalism Teacher of the Year. And then there were 6 or 7 of us who then applied to be the state journalism teacher of the year, and I was named the state journalism teacher of the year.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, congratulations once again. I know I
yeah.
couldn't. I mean, I congratulated you on my personal page, on the podcast page. You know, I shouted it out from the rooftops. But I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud that you're my friend, and I'm so proud that you are one of my guests on the podcast. Because
thank you very much. And I was honestly, I was happiest for my students because they announced it at this big banquet, and I mean they cheered because it was like they won. And they kind of did, you know, because you can't be a good teacher without the students.
Exactly. The student's success really does reflect the teacher's success, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that. Okay. Well, on the last episode, we talked about, or I caught you in the middle of the year. And you even said, you know, we're lucky it's the middle of the year. I have already instilled the processes in my classroom and the students know what to do. And, you know, now I'm catching you sort of near the beginning of the year. It's been, 2 months? As of today's date of recording, it's November 3rd. So about a month and a bit has gone by.
We just finished our first quarter.
Okay. So it's, earlier on in the year. I want to know your process in the first day of school and the first week of school. How do you instill your procedures and your classroom culture and your classroom environment? And, in short, how do you set the tone in your classroom from day one? I actually had an episode, a PD episode, which was called How to Set the Tone from Day One.
That was a good episode.
And thank you, sir. You heard it. Thank you.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And of course, I put my take on this is what I used to do, right? And I saw fruitfulness from these procedures, and so I want your take on what you do in your own classroom. How do you set the tone from day one?
Yeah, it's such an important question, and in a way, setting the tone is introducing who you are or who this Mr. Ramez or this Dr. Shipe character is. So, and I'm very fortunate in that this year I'm teaching 11th graders and 12th graders. So I'm teaching older students. I think some of the things I do can be applied to younger students as well. But I always try to start with some sticky notes. So I give them sticky notes, and again, maybe because it's 11th or 12th grade and their 3rd and 4th year of high school, they've had a lot of first days. So I'll ask them a question or some kind of series of questions. This year, I asked them to write down things that help them learn in the classroom, things that get away from learning, what keeps them from learning, what distracts them from learning, and questions that they have for me. And so I on the board, I made 3 columns, one with a plus for the things that help and one for the minus for the things that distract, and then a question mark for the questions. And the kind of what's interesting sort of behind the scenes, students, if any of you are watching this, go away now. This is just for teachers. Kind of one of the interesting things is, for the most part, if not for all the part, the things that they list as what helps them learn and the things that they list as what prevents them from learning, they're already in my written rules. But it gives them a sense of ownership, for one thing. I've since however many years I've been doing that with the sticky notes, I've never had to make an important change to my class rules because of something they suggest. I'm open to it, and maybe this is part of the years of experience. After enough years, you see what works, what works, what gets in the way, but it allows us to have a conversation. Because I want to set the tone for the whole year, and I'm an English teacher, so it might be different in different subjects, that the class involves conversation. We need to read the literature, and we need to learn how to have conversations around it. Students have often noticed and gotten back with me how much I ask them to converse with each other. Spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes talking to each other. Then we reconvene as a whole group. Tell us something that your partner said in the group. Just various little conversational to help support the group discussion. So it sets the tone both in terms of what I'm here for is to support your learning, and an individual student does not have the right to interrupt anybody else's learning. And then there are questions that some of the questions, and I don't tell them, oh, the questions have to be about this, that, or the other. I just say any questions that you have for me. So some of the questions are specifically about the course, and maybe some about class procedures. Can we eat in class is a big one. And sometimes it's personal questions. It's questions about me. Let me put it that way. So it's not necessarily questions about private me. How long have you been teaching? Do you have any kids and things like that? Do you have a pet? And so those questions kind of help me be less of a figurehead or an office to them and more of a person.
Yes.
Which then again makes them more comfortable, because they're not going to learn if they don't feel uncomfortable around a person. Just personally uncomfortable.
Okay, so let me review first, just so.
Okay, yeah.
I'm understood. So you got 3 columns on the board. There is what makes you learn better. There is what deters you from learning.
Yes.
And there is any questions for me, right? So the first one, so the first 2 columns basically is what you take and you put into the rules. These are the classroom rules that you have given me yourself. It is what helps you learn. It is, give me some examples. What helps you learn?
Clear directions. They'll say things like that. Not having busy work, knowing the objective for why we're doing the activity, why we're doing the work. Open discussions. Some will even put in class presentations. They like to get up and present, so it's not all me presenting the whole time. Sometimes even things like a neat room, an organized room. Just again, this is like teacher speak, but a physically well-organized room.
Okay.
And the distractions go from anything to a student talking out just to get attention and distracting from the lesson. And sometimes a kid will say the click, 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 click. So if that's what, if the kid gets really distracted by that, and I'll just say, all right, thank you. I'll make sure I look for that, because that kind of gives me the authority to crack down on certain things, because I find that very useful, because otherwise you can kind of lose your authority by cracking down on every single thing
all the time. Yes,
all
non-stop.
the time.
Yeah,
and that's when you become
yes, agreed. Yes.
So okay, all right, if this is what bothers you, okay, I'm going to focus on. Hey, we agreed to watch out about the pen clicking there, Charlie. Could you find something quieter to, because sometimes that kid needs something with his hands,
right?
And then I got no problem with that.
Hey,
if that's what that kids need, and nobody's distracted. Yeah,
I used to be that kid. I was a tapper on the desk.
Okay.
And later became the drummer. So
you were practicing.
Exactly. And so those 2 columns then become the I guess thou shalts and the thou shalt nots.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
it's also sometimes it's their expectations for me too.
Right. Yeah.
So I need to know. Yeah. I need to know what their expectations for me are, and if they have unrealistic expectations for me, like every now and then you get a smart aleck. Well, what helps me learn is a teacher bringing me
A muffin
toast
every day.
with
Yeah.
the muffin. Yeah, a muffin every day. It's like, well,
um,
yeah, that's
we'll
probably
talk about
not
that.
gonna
Yeah.
happen. Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So
Right.
what else can we do?
Hmm.
I don't know, how about I give you a lifesaver
Right.
now, and
Yeah.
that'll be it for the whole year.
Hmm.
um,
And the third column is the questions to you. And the
yeah,
purpose of that is what humanizes you in the class.
it both humanizes me, and they'll ask questions about the course.
Right. Right.
So that way I don't have to kind of drone the same lecture every class period,
Hmm.
saying the same things about the syllabus.
Hmm.
And we have long periods at my high school,
Hmm.
because we're on the block schedule. So the opening day is 108 minutes. It's one of those weird numbers, like
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
107.36. Somebody figures it out. I
Yeah.
just
Right.
listen for the
It's
bells
an
to ring.
hour and 3 minutes. It's like, why three
Yes,
minutes? Why not just
I
an
don't
hour?
know.
Why not? Right.
Not
Hmm.
my job.
Right.
But it's a long period, and like the kids get bored from hearing
Yes.
the teacher
Of
go over
course.
the syllabus and let's go over every single rule.
Mm.
And I got to entertain myself too. I
Mm.
mean, come on.
Mm.
So they do ask questions that are like, hey, those, and I have my laptop here, and
Mm.
it's hooked up to a screen. So if they ask some questions about the syllabus, that's my opportunity to open up the syllabus, display it on the screen, and point to a specific part.
Mm.
And there's really no lecture about the syllabus that I do on the first day.
Mm.
That's how I go through what they want to know from the syllabus. And then for homework, I've recorded a video so I say, hey, if you want the traditional syllabus lecture, all right, for homework tonight, there's maybe a 10-minute video where I go over the syllabus and go over my rules,
Mm.
and there's a quiz. So that's the
Mm.
homework tonight. And on the second day of class, let's go over the homework. I can pull up their results on the big screen and see, okay, 80%, 95% got this question right. Good job. Okay, there's a lot of confusion about this question, so let me explain this.
Is the purpose of that just not to waste, class time on the syllabus, or?
To try and use our class time as efficiently as possible.
Mm.
I guess it's kind of like a flipped classroom model. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
because you
stand
can
here
do
and
that with everything.
yeah.
Mm.
And so, and going over that quiz, it's maybe 5-10 minutes at the start of class.
Mm.
And I say, okay, does everybody understand? All right, any questions about this? I say, okay, kids, I'm going to reopen this quiz and take it as many times as you need to take it to get a perfect score. Because I'm not trying to play gotcha on the syllabus and the rules.
Right.
I'm trying to have them understand the rules.
Mm.
So if you're willing, if you're willing to put in the work to go back, redo the quiz, and like we went over everything in class, and I even set it up automatically so I don't have to open it up for them over and over and over.
Mm.
So yeah, just keep going till you get 20 out of 20, or
Right.
whatever out of whatever it is.
Yeah, and again, you could take this method. I mean, it's a good introductory activity for the syllabus, but you can still take this method for a chapter in the book, for
Exactly.
a lecture that you don't want to waste, class time on, so that you have more active learning in the class. For, I mean, anything that is to save class time instead of teacher lecturing,
Yes.
waste of class time. Hey, watch the video. There's a quiz. We'll go over the quiz. We'll fill in all the gaps. You should be good to go.
Yes.
Let's do an activity. Let's do a discussion. I mean, let's do something that's more engaging.
Yeah. So
Boom.
it sets up the procedures that what I'm going to ask from them and how we're going to do things for the whole year.
Exactly. Part of the classroom culture.
Exactly. Yes.
Fantastic. I wanted to interrupt this awesome interview to personally thank you for checking out Legendary Educator. I hope you're enjoying this episode and finding benefit in it to take back to your classroom. Creating a podcast and producing weekly episodes is actually pretty demanding. It takes time, energy, and yes, even some cost. But fear not, there is a way to support the podcast. Actually, two ways. The first thing you can do is go check out legendaryeducator.com/resources, where I've compiled a whole list of products and services that are useful to teachers. You never know. You may find something that's just right for you, like Discount School Supply for your school supplies, Lesson Planet for prepared lesson plans, or BetterHelp for online therapy. Using the links on my website won't cost you anything. You may actually end up saving, but it will give me a little kickback to help support the channel. And if you don't find anything you like, you can just make a small donation by going to legendaryeducator.com/donate. You can donate as little as $1. $1 a show. Sounds like a good deal. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Okay, that's the first day of class. I remember also in our conversation, you said, again, you're lucky you caught me in the middle of the year. I've repeated, I've instilled, I've programmed, I have taught all the procedures, right? First couple of weeks of school, how do you begin doing that? How do you reach a point where you say an instruction one time, everyone scatter, and they're on point, right? And the example was, it was an activity where it was, and again, I don't want to give too much away because I do want listeners to, catch your other episode, but it was, you started on the pair work or group work, and then you gave an instruction, everybody got up and they put all the desks together and it became
like a seminar,
like a classroom.
I was thinking about when you were in my classroom and I'm still, how many years ago was that?
That was at least 6
years. I can remember like you in there and the discussion that we were having.
Yeah.
It's just practice and repetition. Like just, this is how we're going to do things. So we're going to have a big group discussion. We're going to push the tables together, and let's say they don't do very well at the procedure. It takes them too long. Okay, stop. Because I do have a very short, let me go back to the first day. I do have a very, very short slideshow about the basic things, like here's how I ask for your attention. So I have my attention signal.
You got a slideshow for that?
Yeah, a little one. So maybe a 5 or 10 minute one. Yeah.
Okay.
And
nice.
Here's how to ask to go to the restroom or the water fountain. And here are the emergency procedures, because we have to, understandably, we have to go over emergency procedures. So let's say we're moving from whole group to small group, and I see people are off task. A big group of people are off task, and it's messing up. Excuse me, everyone, may I have your attention? And one of the nice things, I think, I'm not a good yeller. Some people are good at it. Teachers, if you're good at it, do it. But I've never been that good at it. So when you're not a yeller, just that kind of silent stare.
Yes.
So you got your teacher voice, you got your teacher look too.
I'm waiting. I could wait all day. I could do this all day.
Yeah, I'll check my watch.
Right.
That's fine. I'm getting paid for this. And then just kind of I'll wait for everybody to be quiet. And then I'll speak in a very low voice. So you really, what's he saying? Okay, so this is how we put the tables together. All right, let's try again. When I snap my fingers, let's push the tables together. And the tables come together. So yeah, just I would say patience and repetition. It's gonna take them a few times to learn the transitions between activities. So patience combined with firmness,
of course.
Just as a again, this works for me. A almost, I don't want to say stoic, but an unemotional or dispassionate, let's put it that way, firmness. Just this is how we're doing things in my classroom.
I want to go back to your slideshow because I never even thought about that. And I want to emphasize the importance of it. Sometimes, again, at the beginning of the year, I used to tell them, I used to tell them with my voice. I used to say, the procedure is this, I expect this, I want this, you should not do. For the visual learners, a slideshow, showing what I'm talking about is so impactful. And I
Yeah.
can't believe I never thought about that.
And it actually starts with my attention signal, because they're doing something. I don't even remember what they're doing. I got to look at my plan, but they're doing something. They're doing something in small group, or they're talking to each other. They're doing something. And so as a shift, and so the first slide is Dr. Shipe's attention signal. I will raise my hand and ask, may I have your attention, please? And I raise my hand and I may I have your attention, please. And people look up and they see the words on this, and it's a black background slide and with white, so it's very plain. And they're like, oh, this is, they get it. They actually get that really quickly. And somebody who's still talking, again, I'll just stand with my hand up and
the glare. Yeah.
And it's amazing. And again, I'm so very lucky that my students, for the most part, they know how to be in the classroom, which doesn't mean that sometimes they choose to act like I don't know what, but they know how to be in the classroom. And so they'll be, don't you see, he's got his hand up.
Hey, shh.
Yeah, exactly. And I think whatever classroom management techniques you use, you're successful when you see the students reminding other students.
Yes.
And when they're policing themselves and each other, that's your biggest win in classroom management.
Nice. If you were face to face with a new teacher going into the classroom for the first time next September or like next semester, what would your advice be to them?
Boy, there'd be a lot. I would say my first piece of advice is you were put in the classroom because someone has confidence in you. And there are going to be times where you're going to wonder if you're getting across to the kids. You're gonna wonder if you're up to it. And it's a great question, because I literally had a teacher in my room at the end of the day yesterday with kind of a similar question. She's a long-term sub. This is her first long-term sub job. I mean, she has a lot of life experience, and she's really interested in creating the lesson plans. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this person's so good. And she didn't have a good day. Any teacher out there knows some days it's just not a good day. It's not necessarily what happened, but a collection of what happened, and you just like, wow, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing more harm than good? We internalize so much. So I think that we spoke for probably a half hour, and the thing I said that probably from the way she reacted that made the most difference is I said, sometimes I feel the same way now. Sometimes I have a just have a bad feeling. But, and then I think, and I'm fortunate because I have all the years of experience, like in the long term, I think I've done a lot more good than harm. So I can look back on that, and I recognize with myself, I'm my biggest critic.
Yes.
So what I think, oh, this was such a horrible day. Well, for the might not have been that horrible for most of the kids in the classroom.
Right.
So yeah, so I guess that's more than just technique and things. So, but if in terms of like the first thing I'd tell them is that bit about self-confidence.
Don't be too hard on
And
yourself.
don't be too hard on yourself, unnecessarily hard on yourself. It's actually it's a sign of a good teacher that they're reflecting back on their practices and thinking, what can I do better?
Right.
That's healthy. If a teacher like that comes to me and I see them being hard on themselves, it's like, that's how I know you're good and you're going to improve.
You're passionate.
Because you're passionate, you care about this job and you care about those kids. So there's a lot of times when I work with teachers, I think an important part of my job is to reaffirm and reinstill that confidence.
Amazing. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all for today. That's all for today.
What am I going to do now?
It's quality over quantity.
Oh, good point.
Oh, don't worry. I mean, now I know when your free day is, so I'll be, I'll get you on here again. I'll think of something else.
How do you like my learning lab?
I like the view. I do like the view.
Yeah.
I miss those palm trees. All right, Dr. Shipe, always a pleasure.
Oh, I enjoy it very much, Mr. Ramez. Good luck in continuing this very good and very important podcast.
I appreciate
that. I was just listening to your I Miss Teaching episode.
Oh,
actually. and yeah, so I'm listening to it because I know in a couple of years I'm gonna retire. I'm still gonna try and pick up a couple college classes. So hopefully I'll get that and I won't miss it too much because I'll still be doing it. It's just in a different arena.
I'll take you as my co-host. How
nice.
about that?
All right. Yeah. Woo.
Something for you to do.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Shipe, always a pleasure. We'll talk very, very soon, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramez.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, sir. So if you've managed to reach this far, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're enjoying this episode. And what better way to show me that you're enjoying the podcast than by doing something to support it financially? It's just the right thing to do. You can go to legendaryeducator.com/resources to find links to products and services. Using the links aren't going to cost you anything, but I'll get a small kickback for every purchase you made. And if you don't find anything there, you can go to legendaryeducator.com/donate and donate as little as $1 or more if you're feeling generous. Do the right thing. Thanks for tuning in today. And if you found this episode beneficial, don't be shy to forward it to your teacher friends so they too can benefit. You can follow me on Instagram at Legendary Educator, or you can get in touch with me by going to legendaryeducator.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review because that helps out a lot. Next week, another legendary episode with a new legendary educator. Class is dismissed.